been wonderful. We have met with so many big schools. We've met with the management of a lot of amazing schools, and it's been a journey of learning and just gaining insights into what the British boarding school is all about. And we obviously also have had great discourse on different topics that border around children and our jewels in general. So today is day 8, the grand finale. And guess what? It's going to be really, really grand. So if you know anyone who's supposed to be here, just put a call through to them or just send a message to them and tell them the fair has started. It is the grand finale, so you should expect nothing but excellence today. We're going to learn, we're going to have fun, and we're going to have great discourse today as well. So today we're going to be seeing 4 great schools, 4 amazing schools. Royal School, Wolverhampton, Caterham School, Dean Close School, Haberdashers, Monmouth School. And then we're also going to have discussion around what do selective schools look out for. So you see, you're in for a very beautiful day with brains and butter today at the fair. So without wasting much of our time and without much ado, I'd like to go right into the fair. I'd like to start the fair right about now. But parents, remember, this is all about you. The fair was organized just for you. So we want to hear from you. We want to interact with you. We want to give you the opportunity to interact with all of these schools. So please feel free to raise your hand, to ask questions, to give your comments and all of that. And we will be glad to make that happen. Just raise your hand if you would like to talk. If you don't want to talk, though, would really love to hear from you. But if you wouldn't want to talk, then you can just send your questions or send whatever you want to say to the Q&A, and we would best it from there. So it's about to get started, or we're about to get started. And on that note, I'd like to invite the first school to present today. That would be Royal School, Wolverhampton, represented by Mr. Alex Large, the head of boarding. Let's put our hands together as we welcome Alex Large.
Wow, De Silva, what a lovely introduction that is, and I'm so pleased to be here this morning or this afternoon presenting on the grand finale day. And as you can see, compared to last week, I've had my hair cut especially for it as well. So let's crack on. I've got a little presentation, and again, I'm hoping there's no storms. Last Friday there were storms, and my internet was a bit dodgy. So I'm hoping that I will be okay this week. So I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. And let's get this started with my my presentation. So, as De Silva said, my name is Alex Large. I'm the head of boarding here at the Royal School in Wolverhampton. Now, we are a slightly different school to some of the schools you'll see today, in that we're a state boarding school. So that means that unlike in the independent sector, the education part is free. We do not charge for that. So the only fees that you'll be paying is for the boarding. That means that our total fees for the year for 24-25 are £16,700. That includes your education as well. And also, it means because we're in the state sector, we're not subject to the 20% VAT rise. There are some conditions with that, though. We can't, unfortunately, take everybody. We are restricted in terms of our intake, so you have to either have a British passport or you have to have the rights to live in the UK. I understand that will affect some of you, but what I would say is please continue to listen into my presentation in case you have friends, family who may have British passports and may be able to live here, and you can pass on that information there. So let me talk you a little bit through life at the Royal School here in Wolverhampton. So first of all, where is Wolverhampton? It's in the Midlands, in the West Midlands. We're about 20 minutes outside of Birmingham, so just a little bit outside of Britain's second city. It means we're really centrally located and we're really accessible in terms of travel. So Things like your flights or trains, you can get from London to Wolverhampton via train in about 2 hours. You've got airports serving Liverpool, Manchester, and Birmingham. You also have all the airports that serve London, and we're really accessible. We're also situated in quite a nice area of the city itself. So if we take a walk 15 minutes down the road, we're into the city centre, and you've got the shops there, and lots of our boarders will spend time there on Saturday or Sunday afternoons. If we go the other way, though, we're in the countryside, and we can take walks up hills, and we can go and see some beautiful views. So we benefit from having both of those options on our doorstep, which is fabulous. And I will also talk a little bit more about the activity program we have here, and being centrally located in the Midlands as well gives us access to lots of different things we can get up to during the week and at weekends. In terms of our boarding houses, we have two. We have Lichfield House, which is for the girls, and we have Dartmouth House, which is for the boys. Our boarding starts at age 11 and runs all the way up to 18, so that's years 7 to 13. And similarly, that's what happens in the boys' house too. And it's quite a nice vertical system in both houses. It means the younger boarders have those older brothers and sisters there to help look after them, help them get through the day, settle into boarding life. And it just lends itself to those natural conversations that, say, if your child is in year 7, year 8 and is feeling homesick, you're more than likely to have a boarder in year 11, year 12, who can take that boarder aside and go, yeah, do you know what? I struggled at first too, but now I'm thriving and I love it here. And you can add some reassurance there. And I think it's more powerful as well when it comes from the students themselves rather than the house staff. We have been recognised in recent years for our pastoral care and in terms of our work with vulnerable children. And we are a relatively small boarding setting. We have around 80 boarders compared to the 800-day students who are at school. But me as the head of boarding, that means I know each of my boarders really, really well and have regular contact with all those parents and the boarders themselves. And it creates that nurturing environment, some positive, meaningful relationships. It means that, for example, if they've got a train that weekend and I'm free, they can come with me, hop in the car, and I can drop them off at the train station. If they've got a tennis match, great. Maybe a house member of staff will go take them, go and watch them, and do all the things that parents would have done. In the city, we're really highly regarded in terms of our safeguarding, and we work with lots of professionals and external agencies. I'm sure one of parents' kind of concerns will be that pastoral care, and in particular the rise of kind of mental health issues, and being away from home will only exacerbate those. But in school, we've got wellbeing rooms, we've got trained school counsellors that can help and offer support during the day. And we have the boarding team who are really well qualified with mental health first aiders, all those kind of things to help in the evenings and make sure that we're really looking after your children and they're getting the right balance of everything really to look after them, both in their physical health and their mental health. We've also been recognised for our activity programme, and a few years ago I looked into a boarding passport, and because I think there's a massive advantage to being a boarder anywhere really in terms of those independent skills. So I looked at some of the things that our boarders do and the advantage that attending a boarding school gives you rather than living at home. And just things like we make sure that they can all use a washing machine and a dryer. And they know how to make their beds. They know how to iron a shirt. All those little things. You see two of my boys there put up a mini greenhouse over one weekend a few weeks ago. So all those little skills are really useful for later in life. A part of the program here at the Royal. And in terms of our activity program, we've got kind of two main key areas. We have the day school, which has a thriving enrichment program. So on 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, the school day is extended for an hour. And at the minute, we have over 70 different activities that all of our day pupils and boarders will take part in, and it includes things like your D.A.V., your combined cadet force. We have a drama production every year, as well as our sports clubs, or it could be anything. There's a knitting club, a crafting club, a finance club. So there's lots of different options for students to take during the school day. And also in terms of our music offer, we have over 300 of our students here at the Royal School take music lessons. That's by far the most of any school in the local area. And we have links with the Wolverhampton City Orchestra. So I have two boarders, one who plays the flute and one who plays the violin, that are going to represent the whole city in the City Orchestra in a couple of weeks' time, which is fantastic. And in terms of our boarding activities, we have a designated day during the week. So on Wednesdays, which is our activity night, and that can be anything from a game of chocolate bingo, which is really popular, to quizzes. We had a cultural presentations this Wednesday, where each of our boarders had to get in a group and present on not just their country, but an aspect of their country, and share that kind of that cultural learning with everybody else in the house. And then at weekends, like you could see in the map, we can get out and about. We can go shopping in Manchester for the day. We can go paintballing. We can go and play laser tag. We can go to Alton Towers, which is a local theme park. So lots of things happening all the time at the Royal, at both during the week and at weekends. Something I would like to draw your attention to is some of our sporting excellence. In particular around swimming, but also in terms of football as well. In the top left there, we have Matthew Richards, who's won consecutive gold medals at the last two Olympics, and we've had boys from the Wolverhampton Football Academy stay with us as well. So despite not being an independent school, we still do really well in terms of our sporting offers. And we're not precious about keeping our boarders on site. So if there is something we can't offer, we've had a boarder in the past who's a fantastic gymnast, and that's way above what we could offer in the school. But he used to go and train at a local gymnastics club and has represented Great Britain. And we put a program in place to make sure that while he was doing his gymnastics, he was still keeping up with his academic work, to stay on top of that as well. So lots of offers there as well from a sporting context. Obviously, the main point of coming to school is to get a good education, and we're not shy about talking about that as well. We aren't a selective school. We are non-selective. So for us, it is more about making sure that as they work through that journey with us here at the Royal School, they are ending up at the destination that is right for them. We still have some fantastic offers that come through from Russell Group Universities, and Nicholas Cann, who was a boarder with me the year before last, has gone on to Cambridge to study economics. We've got another couple of offers for Oxford and Cambridge this year, which is fantastic. But it doesn't matter that doesn't really matter as long as it's important for your child. And we had a boarder who was incredibly into farming, and for him it was going on to study farming engineering at Harper Adams University. It was here, so we tailored his evening kind of routine to make sure that he got the grades that needed for him. So we have a wide range of academic kind of ability here at the Royal School, and we're really inclusive in that. And for us, it's really about making sure that they get to the destination that is right for them. Still aspirational, but it must be right for each child. And also, I mean, I love sharing this photo. I think Dr. Allo and De Silva and Yemi have seen this photo lots. We're a really tight community in terms of the staff and the boarders and the parents. I'm really proactive on WhatsApp. We have a fabulous staff team that got fantastic write-up in our Ofsted report in October 2023, and I implore you to go and read that. It's on our boarding website. But these are my two sons, Harry, who's 6, and Thomas, who's 3. And one of my boarders got wind that the boys had an Africa Day at their school that they were at. And then kind of I mentioned it to one of them. He mentioned it to his mum. A week later, she'd sent over these fabulous outfits for my two boys, and they were the talk of the school that day because they had proper outfits flown all the way from Nigeria, so they were really proud of themselves as well. And that just goes to show you the relationship that we have with parents. And it's amazing. It's always the mums from West Africa that will message me on Christmas Day and New Year's Day to wish me peace and happiness to me and my family. And I just think that's quite a nice touch and shows that relationship we have with the parents. So that's the end of my presentation. I would gladly take any questions that you may have. So I'll stop sharing my screen now, and I hope that's answered everybody's questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. That was amazing, amazing presentation there. Okay, so parents, it's time to ask your questions. If you'd like to ask live, you can indicate by a show of hand and we would make that happen. We would let you ask live. But if you do not want to ask live, then you can drop your questions in the Q&A and we would address it from there. But Mr. Alex, how long typically does the admission process take?
So it can take us as long or as short as you want, really. So we are not restricted by certain intake years. So we can have admissions throughout any year. We have a few spaces left in each year group, and it doesn't have to happen in September. So for example, we've had quite quick turnarounds with some of our borders in terms of admissions. There are certain criteria and a process that we do have to go through. So we'll always ask for kind of 2 years of school reports, there are references from the schools. We have a suitability to board interview where I'll speak to the boarder, the prospective boarder, and the parents, and we'll talk through kind of whether we are the right fit for them and whether they are the right fit for us. And depending on the time of year, that journey can be quite quick. We had a girl, for example, who applied towards the end of September, and she was in year 12. So we knew we had to get her in pretty quickly because she'd missed a month of her year 12 kind of curriculum. And I think that process took about a week, and we could get them in really quickly. However, we're getting inquiries for September 2026. So that's a slightly longer process and we'll take a little bit more time on that. But in terms of those stages there, it can be as quick as necessary, really. And there are still entry points remaining this year or for September 2025.
Okay, so we have 3 other questions here. So if I'll just lump everything together and then you just answer the questions briefly because we're running out of time already. Okay, does the school provide career counseling and university guidance tailored to students' aspirations? That's one. Apologies, I joined late though, through the presentation. My question is around sports. Is there football? If yes, what sort of fixtures can be expected? And then also, what's the proportion of weekly boarders to full-time boarders?
So I'll answer all those very quickly. Yes, we absolutely have careers guidance. We have a strong career thread because we're in all through schools. So actually the careers process starts at age 4 when they come to our primary school. And that really ramps up through years 10, 11. And then at year 12, yes, there's a lot of careers guidance. We get lots of visitors come in. Local colleges, universities will come to visit, as well as we have a school. We have a school guidance counsellor who is able to talk you through your next steps. In the UCAS process, we have a fabulous sixth form team who are really well qualified and get students into these top universities as well. And we'll give guided support. And that process kicks off in the March of the year 12. So the current year 12s will be starting that process. So absolutely. In terms of sport, yeah, football is our main sport. We play in a Wolverhampton league. We play each year group will play against different schools in the city to become city champions, and we'll enter cups as well at a national level to progress through those. So absolutely, there is football. And in terms of our proportion of weekly boarders to full time, actually, nearly 100% of our boarders are full-time boarders. We only have a very small amount of boarders that go home at the weekend. So we are full boarding community throughout the week. The majority will stay at the weekends. That's why we have such an extensive activities program at the weekends.
Thank you very much for your answers, and it's a pleasure to have you here at the British Boarding School Fair. So we're going to have a panel session much later in the day. So we don't mind if you can stay on till the end, that would be fine. But if not, if you'll just come back by 12 noon so that you can be a part of the panel as well.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, so moving on quickly, before we go to the next school, I'll just quickly like to take a poll question. So parents, I want us all to engage. This is where I want our full engagement. We're going to take a poll question. Get ready. You're going to see it in the Q&A. The question is coming. Okay, so okay, while we wait for the question, I'll just move on quickly to the next school, and then we'll have the poll question after the next school presentation. So inviting now to present, I have Caterham School. And representing Caterham School, we have Mr. Matthew Wood, the Deputy Headmaster.
Hello.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for welcoming me today. It's lovely to be here speaking to you from a rather rainy southeast of England. So hopefully you can see my screen. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Matthew Wood. I'm Deputy Head Admissions and Partnerships here at the school, an award-winning school, as you can see from the screen. A school famous for its well-being, its pastoral care, its approach to innovation, but also academic results. To set the scene, set some context, I'll show you a brief video so you can see a little bit about what the school is like. So we've been around for over 200 years. We were founded in 1811. I should know I'm a history teacher here at the school, and our heritage is something that we are very proud about. You can see that we have many buildings on a beautiful and rather green campus. We're located just south of London. The Victorian building you're looking at here is original, and heritage and tradition is a very important part of the school. As is sport. Sport is a famous and intrinsic aspect of UK boarding education, and you can see from these images that we have an extensive range of facilities. We have 200 acres of school campus site, and that excludes a specialist sports centre, a 10-minute walk away, 25-metre swimming pool, and we think the best sports gym in the country, but actually was an image of the last one. We're a school which is famous for its location and the fact that we balance both being very close to London, but also having such rural facilities. It's a beautiful place to live, and I live on site with my wife and 4 children. And being a boarder here is a very special thing. You just saw our Performing Arts Centre, theatres, dance studios. We have facilities for a whole range of co-curricular activities, as you can imagine. That's the heart and soul of the school, I'd say, the Wilberforce Hall, and If you come and visit, I'd love to show you around. This is our girls' boarding accommodation, a beautiful Edwardian building towards the top of the valley up there. So that's a few images of Caterham to get you acquainted with us. As a school, as I was saying, we are located very close to London, just 40 minutes by train, but also very close to two hub airports in the UK, London Gatwick and London Heathrow. It means that practically speaking, Caterham is a really easy option for a lot of our boarders. The word balance springs to mind. In fact, the Tatler Schools Guide said and quoted that we were the school which sets the perfect balance between many things. The image here is that of the Wilberforce Hall, showcasing our tradition, heritage, over 200 years of Christian values that underpins what we do. But we're also a school, an EdTech 50 school, Apple distinguished, which means that we are famous for our progressive approach, a modern approach to how we teach. We're a co-educational school, boys and girls. We're a day and boarding school, a school close to London, but nestled in the heart of the Surrey Hills. A school with outstanding academic performance, but also a huge range of co-curricular opportunity. A school which develops the mind, but also the characters of all our pupils. Balance is a really important thing when you think about Caterham. In terms of the academic outcome of the school, it is outstanding. It's exceptional. We were the 30th best school by A-level results in the entire UK last summer, and in the top 5 of co-ed boarding schools. So really, it is an outstanding achievement. Our GCSE and A-level grades, as you can see there, speak for themselves. But those grades are not a be-all and end-all, certainly not for a number of reasons. The first reason is because actually where our pupils go on to is the most important thing. Grades are a ticket for onward transition, and we're very proud of the fact that we get students into the top universities, both in the UK, Oxbridge and G5 universities, Russell Group, of course, but also to the US as well. Last year, we had 26 offers from US colleges, including full scholarships, 3 full scholarships at Ivy League. 100% of Caterhamians have achieved medical school applications or courses at medical school for the last 2 years, and normally around 10% of our upper sixth will go on to study medical or medical related subjects. So the caliber of outcome is outstanding. But as I was saying, grades are not everything at Caterham, because actually having fun, co-curricular activity, a breadth of experience and development of the whole person is equally important for us. British boarding is famous for turning out well-rounded pupils that understand themselves, their communities, their relationships. Here at Caterham, obviously sport is a very big part of what we do, as is music, drama, art, tech, all of those aspects. We have over 160 co-curricular clubs every week, so it gives you a sense of the scale of what we do here. Boarding is a really important part of Caterham. We have just over 1,000 pupils in the senior school aged between 11 and 18, and just under 200 of those 1,000 are boarders from year 9 up. 2/3 of our boarders are international. We have 30 nationalities, 40 languages, and boarding at Caterham is outstanding. We have a very high level of staff to pupil ratio in our boarding houses, and the boarding team is expertly trained, enabling our boarders to have a lot of fun and really enjoy their time. In terms of admissions, the most important thing I'd say to you is that you are warmly invited to come and visit us. The next time you're in London, why not take a 40-minute train south and come and visit us? You are always welcome to join and to visit. We have entry points at 13, 14 and 16 plus for boarding, and plenty of scholarships, as you can see there. So admissions at Caterham normally takes a little over a year in order to get that secured, with our deadline for boarding places being October in the year prior to joining, September. I'd be pleased to talk about that before long. So that's a whirlwind tour, but I have a special guest, and I'm looking forward to inviting that guest to join me. IA is a student who has joined us this year, and he joins me now. He has come to us from Abuja and joins our lower sixth this year. So hopefully you can see IA, and I've got a few questions for him. We're going to have a discussion. So IA, I know that in your family, there's a bit of a tradition going to boarding schools in the UK.
Yeah.
But why did your family choose Caterham for you?
So like you mentioned, my family's been coming to the UK for like secondary school and higher education since I think 3 generations now. My grandpa went here he went to Scotland. My dad went to UK, and my older brother's here right now in Nottingham. So it was kind of my time. And then I chose Caterham because one, the location was really good. I have a house here in London, so it's not far away from home. And two, it just seemed really cool with all like the technology and like iPads. It's like something you wouldn't see in other schools, and then like the balance stuff was always a turning point for me.
Yeah, I suppose we are quite a futuristic school, very progressive in terms of our approach to EdTech. I had great pleasure touring IA and his parents around before they accepted the place, and it was a pleasure. I know that one of the reasons people choose UK boarding schools is for onward transition to top universities around the world. What are your plans, IA? What do you want to do, and how are you finding the preparation here?
So the top one priority would be to get into a US university. Hopefully, ideally, we're hoping for like obviously not for sure. So yeah, that's my first choice. And I don't want to go to school in university in UK, but still looking at it. Counselor here in Mrs. Silva is really helpful. I have weekly consultations with her where she like helps me join co-curriculars and like other activities that will help me better my CV to get to the US university.
Absolutely, it's no small feat getting into a US college, and so we're very proud of the expert preparation we offer our students, our ambitious students. So preparation with SATs, but also, as you heard there, the co-curricular engagement over 160 clubs a week offers our students the best opportunities to create profiles that US colleges are looking for. Coming from Abuja into Caterham to start your sixth form studies, how did you find arrival, integration, the transition process?
Arrival wasn't so bad because that's not my first time here. I come here fairly often for like holidays and midterms. But integrating into life in the UK was different for me. In Abuja, it's like I just live with my family and like everyone's right there, it's easy, everything's close. I don't have to worry about anything. Yeah, it's not like I'm by myself because the staff are really helpful, but like I'm more independent, so I have to get used to that. Besides that, teacher made everything easy for me, trying to get into life here.
And how did you find being a boarder, the start of being a boarder?
It's really fun. It's like more fun than you'd imagine. It's like you know when you have to ask your parents to go to your friend's house all the time,
Yeah.
And your friends only live like 5 minutes away, they still have to ask and you have to drive you every time.
Yeah.
It's like you just go downstairs and you get to go to your friend's room and you have fun together. So it's really cool.
So it's like a sleepover every night with your mates.
Yeah.
That sounds great. That's fantastic. And your academic integration with day students as well?
Yeah, academic integration was more difficult than the integration with everything else because I come from an international school where I did all my subjects in French. So I had math class in French, physics class in French. So switching to English was pretty difficult for me. I struggled a little bit at the beginning of the year, but with clinics and like the helpful teachers, I was able to get on to par with everyone else. And as for like the day students, I find them quite fun to hang around as well.
That's fantastic. I did exceptionally well to come from a French language school and do so well in our English language school. Tell me about your co-curriculars. What do you enjoy doing in terms of the wider, outside your academic?
My favorite thing to do, like my favorite pastime hobby, is like charity work. Anything that I can do to help around people. I just like seeing the smile on their faces when it's like you've done something for them. So what I do when I'm home in Abuja is that I go outside to like less fortunate places. Like there's like some barracks outside my house I went to in January where we did like a back to school kind of thing. So I played football with the kids, taught them a little bit of math, and then we gave them like prizes and stuff like pencils and back to school school stuff. So yeah, that was really cool. And here at Caterham, I've been able to continue that with like a program we do on Monday afternoons where we help disabled children. We go to a school and we teach disabled children every Monday afternoon. And in December, actually, we went around Caterham and was able to raise a lot of money for cancer research.
For cancer research, I mean, you can tell why we wanted IA to join. What an amazing young man and someone who's a real bastion and leader in that area in the school. So my last question for IA before I turn to you for questions is, if you have any advice for families watching, what would your advice be?
Seeing the school in person is really important, I'd say, because when we're trying to decide what school to go to, my brother went to a different school than Caterham, so we're leaning more towards that one because it was familiar to us. But when we came to Caterham, the way the staff were so easy and like kind to us. We came on a day where the school was meant to be closed, but they still let us have a look around because we couldn't get to the UK when it was open. So just stuff like that makes it so we found Caterham to be the best school to go to.
So there we are. Visit the schools in the UK. I think that's a very, very good piece of advice, and of course one that the fantastic team of Brains and Butter would echo as well. So so that's it, and I'm hoping perhaps there might be some questions from those attending. Thank you so much for listening to both me, but also most importantly the star guest of the show, Aya. So if there are any questions, it'll be my pleasure to answer them.
Amazing, amazing. And it's nice meeting you, especially. And it's also good to know that it's actually a tradition, a family tradition, to come to the UK to school. That's interesting to know. So, Mr. Alex Large, what would you say because I heard you mention gadgets and all of that. What would you say the school's policy as it concerns gadgets and phones is?
Sure. So digital tech is a part of all of our lives, and it's a significant part of all our lives. Clearly, with the AI revolution that we are seeing, it is something that all education around the world are looking at very carefully. A couple of things. We are both very progressive and open-minded about technology. I'll give you 2 points on that. One is that we think, the only school in the country, if not the world, to have developed an AI powered ed tech firm inside the school, and we create 2 products that we're selling on the international and local and national market for education providers, both the pupil-facing and staff-facing products, which gives you an indication of how excited we are about the potential of AI to transform education. The second is that we're an Apple distinguished school, which means that teachers from around the world come and visit us to find out how Apple products, iPads, can be integrated effectively to augment teaching and learning. But the second thing I'd say is that tech and digital is also can be a distraction, and it can be something that we should teach our pupils to moderate the use of. So mobile phones are not allowed out in the school day, apart from in very specific circumstances, because we want them to integrate socially, and we want them to have human connection, not just digital connection. So it's very important that we consider the drawbacks of tech as well as the opportunities. And I suppose that gives you a view or a sense of how we do things here at Caterham. It's very intentional, it's very thoughtful. We're not flippant about technology, that's for certain.
That's refreshing to know. Okay, so we have questions here already. How does the school support high-achieving students in maximizing their potential?
That's a great question. Thank you for it. The pace of learning here at Caterham is pretty swift because the pupils are pretty bright. The average A-level holding for us is A star AA, and so the teaching expertise and the provision for extension and enrichment is outstanding. I'll give you an example from last night. 24 lower 6th physics students went up to Imperial College in London to watch a physics lecture. That's an amazing way in which we can extend and enrich and inspire our lower 6th physicists. And that happened last night. We have a myriad of opportunities for our pupils across all departments like that to stretch high achieving students who frankly are very ambitious, and we support them to achieve those ambitions. The slide earlier said that 85% of our pupils get on to their first choice university, not insurance, their first choice university, and 85% of our pupils go on to Russell Group universities or beyond. So it's a high level. And I can see the second question, so I can answer that there about the structure of the sixth form. Sixth form has a number of ingredients. Students start on 4 A-levels, but most of them end on 3 A-levels. That's an important part of what they do. Co-curriculars, sports, physical activity, exercise is a really important part of what they do. We have an a curriculum here just for innovation that we call EDGE, which is designed to get them thinking about their futures, their careers, their skill sets, things like personal branding, networking, collaboration, project management, which enables them to upskill themselves to those very important things that they will need later on in life. That's an important ingredient of Caterham sixth form. But so is social, having a common room, making friends for life. That's important too. So I would say that in answer to that question, there is structure. There is also study periods during the day. The pupils call them free time. We call them study periods. That's healthy. They want to spend time with each other. We want them to work productively. And there's a balance between the two. So I think Caterham sixth form is a structured environment, but that's because the pupils here are highly aspirational and they want to highly achieve.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for your presentation. I would have loved to ask more questions, but we're really running out of
Harry Da
time.
Silva, I have a very quick question for Ayo.
Okay.
So thank you, Mr. Wood, for bringing Ayo on. It's always so nice to have a student on. Sorry, I know our time is fast spent. I am really interested in how you're balancing your A-levels and exams for US universities, because we're increasingly having families who want to come to the UK for the sixth form boarding education, but are looking at universities in the US. So when I saw the slide on onward success and the amazing achievements of Caterham, I was really interested because some families think they have to be in a school that does the IB program, but you're doing A-levels and you're doing your SAT exam. So can you tell us how you're balancing that and how you're finding the support, which I know you've spoken to already, but just a bit more information on that would be helpful.
I feel like I'm fairly qualified to answer this question, as I have a brother that did IB in a different school. And he wants to go to US University as well, but that didn't really go all too well for him because he was studying IB and it was like really tough for him. So I'm doing A-levels, which is better for if you're trying to apply to US University. I'm taking French, physics, and math for my A-levels because I'm trying to study engineering in university. So we have SAT exams in March and then later ones in the summer. So right now I'm preparing for the March ones and I might retake them in the summer depending on how they go. But yeah, I just divide my free periods and my study periods, have like a schedule made out for myself for when I need to study what, and then from there, it's not really too hard to manage.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been really wonderful speaking to you. And I just invite you all again to come and visit. It would be wonderful to welcome you here.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard from Caterham School and Ayo. So if you'd like to, if this is looking like a school you would love your child to go to, feel free to contact Brains and Butter, and by all means, they would find a way to or arrange a visit to them with the school. So we're moving on quickly, but just before we go to the next school, I think our poll questions are ready now. Let's see if poll questions are ready now. Let's go to the Q&A. But if they're not, okay, we would move on quickly to the next school to present, and probably after the third school to present, we will bring on our our poll questions. It's just something to just let our ears down. Okay, so coming up next, we have Dean Close School, and representing Dean Close School, we have the head of futures and deputy headmaster in person of Zach Sokol. Let's put our hands together as we welcome Zach Sokol to give his presentation. Okay, while we're waiting for the next school to present, okay, maybe we'll just move on to the next school then, and then we would have Dean Close School after the next school. So the next school here present is Haberdashers School, Haberdashers Monmouth School. represented by Becky S. Wilkins. Becky S. Wilkins is the Director of Admissions and Marketing. Can we have haberdashers now?
Yeah, thank you for your introduction. Obviously, I'm not Becky. Becky's had to change plans very, very last minute. But my name is Mike and I manage the admissions for the school as well. So Becky and I have been working together for a few years now. And we've both recently joined Haberdashers Monmouth, which is obviously very, very exciting as well. I'm just in the process of loading up our presentation. So that should be coming up any moment now. Okay, so if I just make sure that that is nice and clear for everybody to see. Okay, so if I just start from the top, so there's one of our year 2 pupils here. So I think she's always a really nice example of almost the diversity of children that we have at Haberdashers Monmouth. As I mentioned, obviously my name is Mike and I manage the admissions all the way from nursery. So in terms of our youngest pupils who will join us from the day that they turn 3 all the way through until the end of year 13, where obviously our 18-year-olds will start to look at moving on to university and further education as well. A little bit about me. So I'm very much a local lad. I mean, Monmouth is on the English-Welsh border. I grew up about 20 miles away from here. So in terms of education in the area, we are very, very lucky in terms of the diversity that is on offer. This is my 3rd year now in terms of an admissions role, and the big thing for me is finding the right school for the right child. Everybody is different in terms of the backgrounds, whether they are international boarders, maybe they're military families, it might be a local day pupil as well, and everybody is different with how they respond to moving school. Obviously, as the main face for the admissions and for new parents, obviously my job is to be here to support you. But something that I really, really enjoy more than anything is just getting to know each individual student. Like I said, whether it's a 3-year-old, whether it's a 15, 16-year-old from overseas as well, it's just really, really nice to get to know what makes that pupil tick and obviously what they're wanting to get out of their time at Haberdashers Monmouth too. So I lead a wonderful team. Obviously, I know Becky has been referenced, so she is the Director of Admissions and Marketing, and then I lead the admissions part. So we're a team of 3, so we're a very busy team of 3, but every day is fantastic in terms of just being able to obviously move families' applications forward, but also being able to do it with a smile on the face as well. Okay, now in terms of an overview to the school, so it's quite a historical school. As of the end of the last academic year in July 2024 last year, we were 2 separate schools. So we had Haberdashers Boys School and then we had Haberdashers Girls School. Now both schools are just within a 10-minute walk of each other as well, but we are now co-educational, as the first point mentions. It was quite a historic move because obviously, having been founded in 1614, there was a lot of history in terms of having almost a split sex education, in terms of obviously girls being on one side, boys being on their own site. But the merger that took place at the start of this academic year has been obviously quite transitional, but it's been really, really rewarding and really nice to see everybody grow as well. As I've mentioned previously, so we support children from nursery all the way through to year 13. We do have a number of different options in terms of local day pupils, but we've got boarding houses as well, which I'll touch on slightly later, as well as day boarding as well. Now, day boarding is almost a mixture of the two in terms of day pupils. They will have access to the boarding houses of an evening and until they get picked up as late as 9 o'clock. Again, it's just to support each family with their with parents' logistics. We do have a number of parents who work in Cardiff, maybe in Birmingham, maybe in Bristol, maybe in London, and we appreciate obviously their working day can be quite long as well. Hence why we want to make sure that everybody is looked after in whatever capacity. Our boarding starts from age 7, which is the equivalent of year 3. And what is really, really nice about Haberdashers Monmouth is the location more than anything. We're a really, really nice town, which we will delve into slightly more as we go through. But being on the English and Welsh border, we almost get the best of both, which is really, really nice. We're a really green environment, lots of open space, lots of fresh air as well, for our obviously around 800 pupils to enjoy. Okay, boarding houses are specific for certain age groups. So our youngest one is called Mono House. So that's for year 3 to year 8 boarders. And then as soon as children get into year 9, they will go into either a girls' boarding house or a boys' boarding house. Okay, so we have a girls' boarding house for years 9 to 11, and then for sixth form, and exactly the same setup for the boys as well. Academically, we've got a really broad variety of GCSE and A-level options as well, but we also offer BTECs too, which I know is something which is really, really important. Again, making sure we are the right school for that individual child. And we're actually, in terms of the bottom point about scholarships, today is the final day for our year 7 scholar assessments as well. So those are for children who are 11 or who will be joining year 7 in when they are 11 years old, year 9 when they're 13, or year 12 when they are 16. Okay, so those scholarships could be in sports, it could be academic, it could be drama, it could be dance, DT, sustainability, which is one of our pillars that we'll talk about slightly later. But we've got a really broad offer in a fantastic location for all families. So in terms of a slight sneak peek, I will turn myself down and obviously share the video in due course. On the right hand side, that's just a snapshot of our youngest boarding house, which is for pupils from year 3 to year 8. So I'll now play the video.
Good morning. Well done.
Okay, so that's one of our introductory videos, which I think just provides a really nice snapshot in terms of the variety of things which are on offer. And you may well have clocked in terms of Jimmy Chu appeared in that video. So in terms of the textiles and the production side of things, we've got a really good working relationship with him. He quite often comes in to do seminars and almost seminars and introductory conversations for all sorts of pupils, whether they are year 2 age all the way through until our A-level pupils as well. Oh, let me move on next. So I reference the location in terms of, as the arrow shows, what we are very much a border town. When it comes to rugby, it's very, very competitive between the Welsh contingent and the English contingent. A bit of a fun fact in terms of Monmouth is the 5th happiest place to live in the UK. So I'm not too sure where number 1 to 4 will be. But walking around the town, everybody is very, very friendly. And there's a lot of history as well. So there's a lot of diversity in the local population. We are a town centre location as well, with the prep and senior school. So that is how the old boys and old girls schools have changed. The prep is only a 10-minute walk away from the senior school. So pupils will move about quite a bit as well. And they'll have that independence in terms of making sure they're in the right place at the right time. But we appreciate for our slightly younger pupils in particular that they will obviously need a helping hand with that. Specifically, we're in the Wye Valley, so Simmons Yacht is a big popular landmark nearby, and again, it just contributes to that almost outside of big city feel, which is something we are really, really proud of here. Monmouth has a capacity of about 10,000 pupils. We have, as of today, I think 930 pupils from nursery through to year 13. So again, we're a good part of the local community, which is very, very important. This is just a snapshot, okay, in terms of Monmouth. So this is the railway bridge, which isn't too far away from here. But as you can see, lots of greenery, lots of open space, and just a really nice environment, in particular during the summer. As a few of the chaps have referred to earlier, obviously Britain is slightly different to Nigeria in terms of its climate, but when it is dry and sunny, it is lovely. So 4 pillars, again, all of which were referenced in that video slightly earlier on. So sport and outdoor activities, we've got about 62 acres of land, which will be used to support children in sports. So whether that is traditional sports like rugby, football, cricket, or if it's slightly more niche sports in terms of rowing in particular is really, really popular, but then also things like tennis, badminton. We've got 2 fully sized 25-meter swimming pools as well. So there's plenty of opportunity for children who maybe come here with a certain interest, as well as for those who want to have a go at slightly different activities. Whilst we're on the topic of activities, we have something called the Monmouth 100. So all of our pupils from year 7 upwards will have exposure to over 100 extracurricular activities. We've obviously referenced sports, but that could be more of the STEM, so science, engineering, maths backgrounds. Sustainability is a big part of who we are, but also things in terms of rock climbing, life saving, sign language. All of those sorts of activities are available on a daily basis. Music, dance, and drama. Again, obviously, the performing arts is very, very big here. We've got 2 purpose-built performing arts centres with brand new dance studios in as well. The dedicated music school, again, is a really nice focal point. And then the drama productions that we do they are split over both sites, but in terms of productions for the senior school, that will take place in the Blake Theatre. The Blake Theatre is actually a public theatre as well, so we often have a number of external speakers who come in and deliver their speeches as well. So I know we've had a number of Welsh rugby players. Sam Warburton has come over, but also explorers in terms of Ben Fogle is doing a very, very popular one over the next few weeks. Sustainability, again, it's just making sure that what we are doing is helping to support the future of the school in the local area. And then I know I mentioned about Jimmy Choo when it comes to the design, the fashion and the textiles elements as well. Each of those have their own dedicated labs. So again, as part of the refurbishment over the summer, we were able to develop dedicated spaces for each of those subjects, which will then be taught by specialist subject teachers. So boarding, going into it a little bit more. So boarding starts from year 3. We've got one house called our Mono House, which is for year 3 to year 8 boarders. And that has a capacity of, it has a capacity of about 50. So again, we've got about 2/3 in there at the minute, which is nice. And then we have a higher proportion of boarders in the senior school. A lot of our boarders, in terms of British boarders, are those of forces backgrounds, but especially in the senior boarding houses, we've got a really nice diversity of international pupils as well. We've got a number from Europe, we've got a number from different parts of Africa, we've got a number coming from Asia as well. So again, that diversity is really, really important for us. Those boarders will be split over 5 different boarding houses. So all of the girls are up the top. All of the girls are up at the top. So year 3 to year 13 girls are up at the top, and then the boys from year 9 will be based down the bottom, again, each in an individual house there. Here's just a few snapshots. So we've got an example of our year 9 to year 11 house on the left-hand side, which is called TD, so Twiston Davis. And again, you can see the rooms that there are about 4 beds in each. And then on the right side, we've got our 6th form boys boarding house, Buchanan, which is just over the way from where I'm currently sat. And again, there's a big focus there in preparing the boys for obviously university in terms of applications, but also further education as well. And you can see it's a slightly more traditional setup, which is again really nice in terms of the character and the feel for the school. On the girls' side, so you can see on the left-hand side that we've got, both of these pictures actually are from our 6th form girls' boarding house. Everybody in sixth form will have their own bedroom. So that is for boys and for girls from year 12 upwards. Again, with an ensuite, which is obviously nice for their privacy, but also preparing them for the first year in university halls of residence. And then on the right-hand side, in terms of just a bit of a shared social space, and again, it's really, really nice because there'll be plenty of activities put on each evening, but then there'll also be weekend trips as well, which is, again, really popular just for giving kids the freedom to unwind after what has been a very busy week at school. So, why should families come to visit Haberdashers Monmouth? It's obviously it's a school with a lot of history, but it's very much in the modern world as well. We were very, very fortunate in terms of the Haberdashers almost umbrella company. We've been very fortunate in terms of the investment that we've received. And obviously I mentioned there in terms of the Haberdashers family of schools. So I think we're one of 7 schools. There are some further north of England, and then you've got some which are more over London way as well. I referenced the scholarships that are available. So for year 7, year 9 and year 12 entry, the location, without going on too much into detail, it's just really, really nice because it's a focal point of the town. Everybody is very, very friendly and supportive as well, but also we've got very good travel links too. So Bristol and Birmingham airports are probably about an hour or so away. Heathrow is ever so slightly further, probably more in terms of the 2.5 hour range. But as the penultimate point says there, we run services which go to all airports to support pupils with their travel for holidays, but also return to school as well. The fees are competitive. People will obviously be well aware of VAT, and the fees that we've agreed on and have released. It very much factors in all of the good offerings that we have, but it's also making sure it's as competitive as possible. And then weekends, even though children can go out and there'll be weekly trips every single Sunday, there are rest weekends. So that is usually every 3rd weekend. It's almost a quieter weekend where there are still plenty of activities, but there's not as much of an academic focus. So that's a good opportunity for children to potentially travel home for the weekend. Obviously, if they're based further afield, they can stay on campus too. But it's just a really nice balance just to make sure that kids obviously work hard when they're here, but they can also play hard when it comes to their social and free time as well. So that is the end. So obviously, any questions, please do let me know.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mark, for that presentation. Okay, so parents, it's time to ask you questions. Though our time is fast spent, but we can still give a room for 1 or 2 questions, especially if you want to ask the question live. Okay, so Mr. Mike Donnell, what support does your school have for children who learn specially, like special education needs children? What support does your school have for them?
Yeah, no, of course. So in terms of the support that we've got on offer, it is very much specific on the pupil. There are some pupils who require one-to-one specialist support, which we have available. There are some children who maybe do small group work instead, in terms of it's a slightly smaller learning environment. There are some children who just need the reassurance of a safe place to go if they feel like they're getting overwhelmed ever so slightly. In terms of almost what that looks like from an admissions perspective, in terms of obviously for my role, any family who comes to us and they say, Mike, do you know what, my son or daughter might be dyslexic or require some additional learning support, then what will happen is obviously we will get all the information that we need from the family, but we are also really keen to spend time with the pupil and the parents as well, whether that's in person or whether that's in a almost like an online forum or a call like we're doing at the minute. What is really nice as well is the additional support we don't charge for. So again, that's just really supporting the accessibility and making sure we can support as many families as possible. But what is really, really nice, again, factoring in everything that the school has to offer in the local area. The kids who come here may be needing some additional support. They settle in really, really quickly, and we'll do things at their own pace as well, just to make sure they feel really comfortable.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your presentation. We're still going to have a panel session afterwards, so I wouldn't mind if you're able to wait for the panel session, or if you okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so right about now we're going to have a sneak peek into all of the schools that have presented so far. So we're going to see a video of all the schools that have presented. And it is good to note that we still have one more school to present, and then we have the panel session too. And the topic we're going to be treating today is, what do selective schools look out for? And to do justice to this topic, we have Joyce Connell Cousins, the Director of Insights Education and creator of Oxbridge Mentoring. So we still have all of this on the lineup, but just before we go into that, we're going to have a video just to see the schools that we have brought to you today. So if you just relax and watch the videos.
If I was to describe catering in one word, it would be exciting.
Amazing.
Positive.
Vibrant. Brilliant.
It's incredible. The best thing about catering school is the staff, and they always give you the best opportunity and they're always there for you.
Every lesson is just, I come in with a smile on my face because I love it.
Anything that you like, you get to do. There's so many opportunities.
So many opportunities you have here.
The opportunities that come to you, so many different types of people that you find friends really easily.
It's how kind everyone is and how helpful everyone is. You never feel left out or lonely, you're just always really happy.
Good morning. Smart gentlemen, well done.
Yes, yes. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. I absolutely enjoyed every bit of it. So now it's time to take the poll. I'm excited about it. I hope someone is excited about the poll as well. So parents, this is the time to engage. Make sure you engage. We're doing this all for you. So if you if you get the highest score in the poll, there is a gift from you, especially from Brains and Butter. Whatever part of the world you're in, whether you're in the UK or you're in Nigeria, there will be a chance for you to pick up your gift if you win this poll. So let's get this poll started already.
I really like this first question. If you could attend school again, which activity would you sign up for first? Wow, okay. It's even thus far. Sports team, debating society, music band. Okay. So there's a tie. Okay, it's moving. Sports team is still leading. Interesting. This is very interesting. And then we have a tie between debating society, joining the debating society, and the music band. Okay. Thank you, parents. It's nice to see us filling this poll, and we've got 77% participation. That is amazing. Thank you. Okay, Da Silva, I think we have the, shall I say, most prevalent answer now. Do you want to talk us through that, and then we'll move on to the next question?
Okay, Dr. I'll prefer you take it. I really can't see it on my screen. So please, can you just
I
that on us?
Okay, sure. So we've got sports team with 43%. So people would like to sign up. If our parents could go back to school, they would like to sign up for the sports team first. And that's followed closely by the debating society. Amazing. Debating society is at 36%. And then we have a tie between drama and music. And at the bottom of it is an outdoor adventure club. Interesting. Thank you, parents. So, yeah, I've shared the results, and yeah, I think we're good. So Da Silva, back to you.
Okay, so we're having another poll now. The second poll is coming up now. Wait for it, drum rolling.
So the question is, if school trips were open to parents, which one would you secretly want to join? So we've got skiing in the Alps, safari in Africa, a cultural tour of Europe, space camp, why not? A relaxing countryside retreat, that's me. Like, I love me a countryside retreat away from the hustle and bustle of city life. Definitely a relaxing countryside retreat, but I'm not sure if we're back in school, but the students will probably want something else. Okay, a cultural tour of Europe is winning at 45%. Thank you, parents. We're currently at 61% participation. That's amazing. Thank you. We need a few more entries and then we'll end this poll and go on to the next one. And I think that will be the final one. Okay, so a cultural tour of Europe is leading, followed closely by a relaxing countryside retreat and safari in Africa. Now, this is funny. The last on the list is skiing in the Alps. Most of our parents are African parents on this call, and I don't know why they're afraid of skiing. They don't want to break any leg or any bones. Skiing is coming up with 9%. Thank you, parents. Thank you for your participation. I'm going to end the poll now. and share the results. I think you can see the results. Over to you, Da Silva.
This is so interesting. Thank you, parents, for that participation. It means quite a lot to us. Thank you, thank you. Okay, so we're moving on now to the next thing on the program, and it is a much anticipated panel session. So to to do justice to the topic, like I said, the topic is what do selected schools look out for? We really want to know what are those things we need to check, what those schools are looking out for. So to do justice to this topic, we have Joyce Cornell Cousins. She is the Director of Insights Education and creator of Oxbridge Mentoring. You're welcome. You're muted. Parents, it's okay to drop questions too, if you'd like to drop questions for this session, or you'd want to contribute, just indicate by a show of hand, and then we'll let you speak live.
Great. Well, thank you very much for the introduction, Bimpe, and Dr. Allo, congratulations to you and team for this amazing conference. It's the first time I've joined, and it's very well organized from my point of view. It was really interesting to hear and meet here some of your boarding schools, because some of our own students from Asia are now at your boarding schools and loving every minute of it. So it's great to meet you. So I've been asked here to talk a little bit about what type of skills are going to get your child into British boarding schools and universities, and the more competitive amongst them as well. And I think there is a bit of a read across here in terms of that. And what we've been doing, and my collaboration with Dr. Allo, gosh, stems back now to 2016 when we met through Dr. Ogunsanya in Nigeria. So we have been working with students to boost their skills in preparation for boarding school life. This year is a new provision that we're going to be rolling out, which is called Oxbridge Mentoring. I've been the director of that and heading that up and rolling that out now for the best part of 18 years. It's what I've left my day job in government to do, and I'm loving every minute of it. So what is Oxbridge Mentoring, first of all? Well, the schools here talked about the whole person development, and that's very much what we do. It is despite its name, it is actually an academic and personal mentoring program. Okay, so we teach the study skills and the creative thinking skills and problem solving skills that's going to help students get the better grades at GCSE and also A-level, which will unlock doors to the best universities. Yes, so the aim is that after 2 to 3 years, maybe even 1, if you have only just discovered us so late on, the skills that we teach will be like second nature. So in essence, although it's called Oxbridge, we don't say you have to go to Oxbridge. It is literally the Oxbridge Socratic style thinking and learning that's going to open doors to world-class universities, wherever that is in the world. Okay. So there's a little bit about me. If you want to know about me, there's plenty out in the public domain. So do please follow me on LinkedIn if you wish to. The students that we attract end up going to these universities. So they're called the Russell Group. There's a few more that have crept in, but in essence, the Russell Group of universities. And 95% of our applicants end up there, or their desired specialist course. The other 5% is the desired specialist course. Oxford Cambridge is a little bit more difficult, but I'll give you those statistics later. If they're applying to Oxbridge, they are definitely going to be applying to Russell Group. So that's the caliber of students that we tend to attract, those with ambitions for these universities. So I can't see my, so what does it take to get into UK's most competitive boarding schools and universities? At the start, I talked about, you know, the skills needed and how similar they are. So yes, look, depending on where you're coming from, you know, the schools test for excellent grades. But actually, excellent grades are not the only criteria. And in the same way as universities are looking for that value added to, you know, of the type of students that's going to contribute to the university community, schools will also look for that as well. So, you know, the schools are interested in what your child does outside of studies, the hobbies they have, not only because you know, it means that they will contribute to the school community, but so that they know that they're going to be happy when they move into their boarding schools. Same for university. One of the other things that you know, the schools and universities, the top ones, look for is an ability or that potential to be able to study independently. You know, but studying hard doesn't guarantee you a place in the top universities. And, you know, we support schools. A lot of our partnerships are with schools where, you know, we stop students or just prevent them from studying long hours in the wrong way, but maximize their revision time and impose that structure that's going to help them. And yes, as part of our programs, we do implement wider reading, extracurricular and supercurricular. And I think that, you know, schools do tend to ask students to engage in things like the UK maths competition, but we also encourage students to look beyond just the UK ones to, you know, Olympiads based abroad. So the American, Canadian, Australian ones as well. We encourage students as part of their plan to engage if they're scientists in the London Youth Science Forum, for example, or if they're humanities students, we get them doing competitions, essay competitions. Okay. So what we do here very much supports the work of schools. We encourage critical thinking, develop emotional intelligence, and self-expression is key, because if they do end up getting invited to interviews, admissions interviews or academic ones at Oxbridge, they will have to academically or intellectually spar with a world-class academic, either for 20 minutes or 25, or if you're a mathematician, pretty much a whole hour, problem solving on a whiteboard and communicating their thought process. So that's what our programs stress. So how do we do it? I just thought that this was quite a simple way of representing what it is that we try and do. So Oxbridge Mentoring aims to cultivate these 8 key traits, okay? And these are the 8 key traits that generally the students who've won their places at the top universities tend to have. And we go away for, you know, 1 to 3 years to develop those in the background, alongside school, during term time, during vacation periods, so that by the end of the process, when they apply to universities, we have shaped and molded them into a student that's going to, that will hopefully secure their dream universities. So I just want to cover here, you know, what is covered as part of our programs. And I mentioned programs because we have a few. So long-term strategic planning via Oxbridge Mentoring really covers this: advice on school and universities, We give them a recommended list of reading and supercurricular activities, and we get students to not only do that, but reflect on what they've learned. They'll have a mentor and they talk about it. And so, you know, right from the very start, we're cultivating that ability to discuss and express themselves. We also have frameworks for critical thinking. So in schools, they are taught a particular essay style, and we come in and our value added is actually to ensure that students are thinking in a certain way, using mnemonics, using letters of that framework, so that each and every single time, whether it be a written answer or a verbal answer, your child gives a comprehensive, analysed answer. Okay. So we do other things, you know, we track progress through Oxbridge style mock interviews, and hopefully over the period of time, if the learning gap is like that, as we progress through the mentoring program, the gap should be getting, you know, smaller, so that, as I say, we shape them to the best candidate that they can be. So I'm not going to go too much into this, but we run a virtual academy. So Oxbridge Mentoring has been created by myself at Insight Education, but our virtual arm, our virtual academy, runs Saturday programs. So we have a pre-Oxbridge Scholars program, normally for students in the final year of their GCSE or IGCSE, and it's studied on a Saturday. It's a Saturday school, in essence. And that runs over the course of the year. This one has already started back in October, and students will get to work with students from all around the world. So it is a multicultural learning environment, probably more academic than most other programs, because they are all heading towards those top universities. Then we have an equivalent, which is the Oxbridge Scholars Programme, when they start the first year of A-levels, and that is honed even more. So whereas the GCSE programme, everyone across all subjects are in a room, and we develop those skills and get them looking at the interlinkages between their GCSE subjects, so that they have a greater appreciation for their subjects as a whole, not just for one particular subject. We want to kind of break that. We want students to appreciate, if they're scientific minded, we want them to appreciate the humanities as well, because they are more intertwined than you think. When it comes to Oxbridge Scholars Programme, students will receive, it's still 1.5 hours long, but they will receive a lecture of half an hour, which is generic to everyone, and they split into strands. Currently, we've got strands for bioscience, humanities, and problem solving. And all these students, again, are aiming for, you know, Oxford, Cambridge, LSE, Imperial, UCL. And then we have a one-to-one program, which is run by myself and team over at Insight Education. And we pretty much track, it runs alongside year 12 and their schooling in schools, boarding schools, and we pretty much track their development on our programs from day one. We will be covering entrance test technique, and, you know, interestingly, when it comes to the sciences and maths, there's a lot of GCSE content that is needed to sit those exams successfully. What isn't so well drilled is the ability, the tips and tricks to do it under time conditions, which is hard. UCAS is also covered under us. We're aware that that's also led by the school, and we pretty much support the school, and we work very much so there's no conflicting advice given. This year, as you well know, the UCAS is split into 3 key questions, but in essence, it is virtually the same type of information and content that goes in. So we will help your child and daughter with that. If asked why our programs are successful, they are pretty much 5 pillars. that form our pedagogy and science of teaching. The first is that students on our programs all have to keep a learning log, in essence, an achievement log, where we get students to think about what they've learnt on our programs and why it's meaningful for them. And they have to pretty much state 3 to 5 bullets of observation and learning each and every single time they've done something. We've talked about the 8 traits. In time, we hope that the student ticks off all of the 8 traits and the sub-criteria underneath them. There are also frameworks which can be used for written and verbal answers. And we've already talked about wider reading and supercurricular. The difference between extracurricular and supercurricular is supercurricular attracts UCAS points. So the likes of an extended project qualification, for example, or studying university grades or equestrian sports actually give your son or daughter additional UCAS points. However, no amount of UCAS points for extracurricular is going to supersede the importance of academic grades. So it's important for your son and daughter to cultivate both sides and achieve well in their personal lives as well. And of course, the discussion-based Socratic method, students can't get through our process without articulating their ideas. So in a nutshell, kind of that's what we do. We've had a really good success rate over the past 18 years. We've donated some of our methods to a UK-based education charity. They run the program for over 100 of their students and receive these success rates. They may seem pretty low, but if you compare that to the average success rate for Oxbridge admissions, which is 17 to 23, you can see that our syllabus is getting far higher than that. And then the rest of the applicants end up at Russell Group universities, which, given that some of these are have never thought about university in itself, for more educated students who have the benefit of an excellent boarding school education, that those success rates would be far higher. And I think, other than that, I just wanted to let you know that the kind of mentors that we have on our books. We have university graduates from Oxford and Cambridge who've just been and done that and are just slightly older than your children. They will act as an older brother and sister there for them right the way through the process. And we then have mature qualified teachers who are also our tutors, who are generally involved in mock interviews through the process as well. So to sum up, why would your son or daughter come onto our programs? Well, they will learn Oxford and Cambridge style thinking and learning during their secondary school studies, which and the students who get it and apply what they've learned in our programs to their school studies end up getting the top grades. And they get the top grades because they learn and apply the frameworks for essays and problem solving in maths. We introduce them to university level topics. So it's material that's beyond the school curriculum, which then can be incorporated into their answers for school coursework and exams as well. And I've already talked about the reading and supercurricular activities. And I cannot stress the importance enough, the ability to express themselves with impact for university admissions interviews. Obviously, it's the same type of learning and skills needed to get into the schools that you've heard about today. So, Bimpe, that's the end of my presentation, and I hope that is useful to the parents.
Thank you very much for that insightful presentation. That was quite educative. Okay, so let me go. We're moving right to the panel session. And then after that, we're going to have our last presentation for the day. So if you just turn on your cameras now, Dr. Alo, Mike Donnell, Alex Large, and and Matthew Wood, if you're still here. Okay, so Dr. Anna, let me go to you first. What contribution would you like to make to everything we have heard?
Okay, so first of all, I just wanted to add that Dean Close can also join in. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, so we'd like to have our colleagues at Dean Close join in as well for this session. First of all, thank you so much for your kind words, Joyce. That was an amazing presentation, and it's quite a full circle moment for us actually, because Dr. Femi Ogunsanya is a part of this school summit, as I like to think about it. So to have her listen on, and I don't know if you're aware, I went to Oxbridge College myself 25 years ago for sixth form. And then obviously I met you, Joyce, there 9 years ago. And here we are today. And one of the things that really fascinated me about the Oxbridge mentoring program and the entire arsenal of programs that you run is I had never heard of anything like that being done. And having the opportunity for children to really receive that mentoring and all the key study skills and exposure into what really selective schools look out for. I thought that was amazing. And I'm really pleased that one of our families who wanted Harrow for their son was able to get some tutoring and mentoring from yourself and eventually got into Harrow. So I'd really like our parents to know that in addition to the schools who are presenting as a part of the fair, there's some of the very highly selective schools where we've actually sent children to, and Joyce's company helps in providing tutors who can prepare them for those highly selective schools. I'm really sorry if my video isn't showing. I don't know what's happening with my system, but thankfully you can hear me. So that's the contribution I really want to make there, Silver, that for those very highly selective schools, we're able to support our families to get in there and to obviously have all the schools participate in this panel session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'll move to Alex Large now. What would you say is at the top of the list for your school as it concerns those things you look out for to admit children into your school?
Hi, thanks, Silva. So I think in terms of looking at our selection criteria, so we're a non-selective school academically, and we're really inclusive, and we actually offer BTECs and more vocational courses at sixth form alongside A levels and the traditional A level route. For us, I think it's more about that how you work and how you adapt to the coming in. To the UK boarding system in terms of we can manage the children and the boarders somewhat in terms of our evening routine. So with prep and there's that looking at data and if you're behind, accessing more prep in the evenings. But I think for us it's that willingness to achieve. We have our culture here at the school. That we like to push and motivate all our students, but ultimately we don't do the tests for them. They do it. Their teachers don't. They do it themselves. So I think for us, what we're looking for when we get applications for boarders to come to our school is that kind of that resilience, that motivation, that intrinsic motivation. How are they going to push themselves and take the opportunities, not only academically, but I think, as all the schools have mentioned, getting those co-curricular things on your CV as well to be not only successful academically, but be a well-rounded individual ready for the next phase of life.
Okay, what would you say you do differently, or what do you do? What standout thing do you do to help these children get into those top universities? Is there anything you do specially?
Again, we have less people applying to say Oxbridge. We had 2 candidates this year, and we had one of our members of staff went to Oxbridge himself, so he did a little mentoring program himself to prepare for interviews. So he worked with these 2 students on their own, did some interview preparation and all those kind of things as well. So I guess the advantage we have, because we don't have, say, 40 kids applying each year, where we have to, when we do kind of wit sharpening sessions or anything like that other schools may do, actually we almost have the opposite, which is just as beneficial. We have really small groups of children working with highly academic and staff who are able to offer kind of almost one-to-one training to make sure that they have every chance as well to go to the top universities like other schools.
Okay, thank you. So any closing remarks so I can let you go?
No, it's just to say thank you very much for having me, and it's brilliant to be here, and I hope that people consider our schools, and I hope all goes well for the rest of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for coming as well. Okay, so I'll move to Mike Donnell. Same question for you. What is at the top of your list for what do you look out for to admit? What is at the top of the list for you? And then what special thing do you do, or what standout thing do you do to help those children get into top list universities?
Yeah, so I think in terms of whenever we receive applicants who are coming in for, say, start of year 12, the big thing that we want is obviously honesty from them in terms of maybe where their strengths lie, but also the areas that they're really passionate about as well. What we then want to do is we want to make sure that they spend time with the relevant subject experts as well. So whether they are big into the science side of things, making sure they're obviously spending time with those science teachers, whether they are big into the business side, making sure they're obviously spending time with those experts as well, just so we get a really good understanding in terms of what that pupil is all about, how they tick, what they've got to offer, and almost how we can support them as well. Every child is different, and I know when I was doing my A-levels, it's obviously a very stressful 2 years, very rewarding but very stressful. So in terms of for new pupils, we just want them to be honest, but they also need to understand our expectations as well, in terms of we'll support them with the experts, with the pastoral care, but they also need to realise that they need to work hard to achieve that as well. In terms of when pupils are going through UCAS applications and they're starting to narrow down where they want to go and what they want to do, we've got a number of dedicated experts who work with the sixth form team, so the year 12, year 13 team, that are experts, and they have gone through, maybe it's the medicine route, maybe it's the Oxbridge route, whether it's the Russell Group route as well. So we have got experts who solely support on applications, and they have experienced that process and how competitive it is as well. So it's a balance of, at the start of the journey, making sure we fully get to know the pupil, but also the pupil knows our expectations. And then when it comes to going through the assessment process, we've got a number of experts who have got experience of going through the application stage themselves, but also supporting others to make sure they get into those really highly competitive university places.
Okay, so your closing remarks.
Thank you for everybody's time, first of all. It's been really nice to obviously get to know you guys as obviously brains and butter, but then also just to hear about other schools as well. The big thing for me is obviously Haberdashers Monmouth is in a big transitional, well, it's had a lot of transition in terms of obviously going from single sex schools to a co-ed school, so it's a really exciting time. We're in a lovely location. We've got a hell of a lot on offer for all sorts of interests and backgrounds as well. So I appreciate an in-person visit might be tricky, but please do feel free to reach out to me for maybe a virtual tour, or just to answer any questions that I can at this stage.
Amazing. Thank you for coming.
No worries. Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to move to Dean Close School. Dean Close School, good to see you.
Hello.
Good to see you too.
Okay, so before I let you make your presentation, I'd like to ask you the same question. So what are those things you look out for to admit children into your school? What is at the top of the list for you? And then what do you do specially? What do you do differently to help children get into their desired school?
So if I answer the first part of the question, because I'm the director of admissions, so I'm working very much with families joining the school, and then I'll let my colleague Zach Suttle, who's involved on the academic side of school life, to answer the second part of the question. So what do I look for? I went to boarding school myself as a very young child, and I think when you're at school, you learn resilience, you learn all these things. But what you need on the beginning of that journey is a willingness to learn, a willingness to participate, a willingness to try. It's really hard when you're a young child, suddenly in a school environment, your mummy and daddy aren't there. You're suddenly having to fend for yourself. However, so the most important thing really is that child feels secure and happy initially. So which is why we put so much into the pastoral care for young people when they join, so that they start to feel secure, they've made friends, and then they can start to learn and do well academically. I think character is very important, but again, no one is formed when they come to school. They learn character. That becomes part of what they learn. They learn resilience. So I think it's just that willingness to participate. I think that's very important criteria for anyone entering school. And we normally find that out when we do the interview with the child as well. We are academically selective. And we are looking at children doing 8 to 10 GCSEs and then 3 or more A levels, or we do now offer some BTECs as well. However, I think character is the most important.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let me officially welcome.
Sorry, could I just jump in and just answer the second part of your question?
Oh, okay, sorry.
No,
right,
I just, in regard to, you know, kind of our provision for our sixth formers, if we're focusing on sixth formers particularly, in regard to university and destinations. So we run a program over and across the 2-year period. So I'm the head of Futures. So we've just recently had our first Futures Day, which kicks off the whole UCAS process and the kind of thinking process after the students have arrived and had time to settle down. We have talks from universities. We had Exeter, Birmingham, Cardiff Metropolitan in. We do a CV workshop with them at that point. We have an apprenticeship talk, a degree apprenticeship talk. So it's very important to us for our students to recognise not only the university pathway, but the very competitive degree apprenticeship pathway as well. And then to obviously think about the Oxbridge and highly selective universities within that, the medicine, veterinary dentistry stream, and international opportunities as well. So we then, our next kind of big tentpole event would be in the summer before when they finish the year 12. So we have a Futures Week where we will again have more talks, more workshops, university visits. We also have a work day where everyone does a day at a work placement during that week. Amid that time, we basically start off tracking their ideas and their decision making from this point on. Every sixth former has a one-to-one relationship with their tutor, so they have a personal tutor who they meet with weekly, who carries through that conversation, and then we kind of feed in different opportunities within that. In terms of Oxbridge, we have an Oxbridge group which meets once a week. In terms of MedVet Dents, we have a group that meet once a week, and they do extra things involved in preparing for those highly competitive streams. And similarly, we'll kind of drop in extra things depending on what our students want to do, because we can customize our program pretty well. This essentially builds on stuff we've already done for the students that have been with us throughout years 9 to year 11 in regard to scholarship programs, which happen at our Bowden Society, which is our extension society, and a variety of those sorts of opportunities as well. This means that we generally kind of see 90% or so of our students apply through UCAS to universities. Typically, 2/3 will go to a top 25, top 30 university. Last year, we had 93% who achieved their chosen course in regard to firm and insurance, and 2/3 of them achieved their firm university place. And then we do a lot of help around results day in regard to making sure that they've secured the offers they want, if they want to change that up. And we are in contact with our old Decanians, our students that have left, often for any kind of university switching or careers decisions. And we look to try to bring that expertise back into, to feed into our students, to help them again, kind of pay it forward and help them make these sets of decisions. I could probably speak a lot more about that sort of stuff, but that's probably in essence a lot of what we do in regard to destinations.
Amazing. I'm still going to give you time to do your presentation just in a bit. But before I do that, can I just quickly ask those questions? There are 2 questions here for Joyce Connell. Okay, so One says, how do you address parents' concerns about the pressures of selective schools applications? And then the next one is, if you have a child that is slow in learning because there is a mild dyslexia, this child is noticed to do well using her hands, like the use of computer, cooking, organizing. What advice would you give the parents in helping the child to achieve his or his full potentials, especially given that the child is struggling with academics? If you just answer these questions in the next 1 minute.
Well, I'll try. So regarding the child with mild dyslexia, first of all, because I know that in some cultures it's SEN is not something that is talked about much. I would wholly recommend that if you think that your child has some sort of special educational need, to go and have him or her tested, and to ensure that they get properly supported by the school that they're currently at, so that there is a transition into the school where I know all of the schools mentioned here today, they have SEN specialists at hand. And if you know the condition that your child has, there are ways of thinking and learning and structures that are provided. And believe it or not, those students do end up at Oxford and Cambridge. However, we would only suggest that if we can see that this is something that they can cope with, and that they have the resilience for, because it may be that, another course and university is best suited to them. So, we're very mindful of that, and we will always give an honest response. I'm not sure about the first question.
Thank you for that response. The first question is, how do you address parents' concerns about pressures of selective school applications?
Okay, well, I think yourself and Dr. Allo would know that I always talk about this. The sooner that you plan, the sooner that you plan for your child long term and where you would like them to end up, the better it will be, because we don't really want to kind of work last minute. Those skills that we teach and cultivate take time. So we would ask parents to think ahead and give us at least 1 year to or more to work with students. And I hate to compare, but I'm going to. By comparison with the audience that we have here, East Asians are actually quite good at doing this. They plan for their son or daughter's education quite, 5 or more years in advance. I'd really like to kind of implement that thinking amongst the audience that we have here. It's not impossible, it's just a different mindset.
Thank you very much for your response. Okay, so coming back to Dean Close now. Yes, so our time is a lot fast spent. So what would you like to leave the parents with when you think of Dean Close? What would you want the parents to go home with? What would you want their take home to be concerning Dean Close?
Sure. I would want to say that I think, kind of while Dean Close does just a lot that you would expect, one of the key things is about all sorts of things you can do in this school. So academics is very strong, and there's a clearer focus on academics, but there's a range of different co-curricular and other things that we want students to feel able to be a part of. So there's an immense range of different things they can do. And I also think that one of our main strengths is our personal relationships with the students. So one-to-one tutors in the sixth form, but very kind of close knowledge of our boarders and our day students throughout the years. The longer they've been here, in some ways, the closer that relationship, the better we know our students. But already I work, I'm a deputy housemaster in a sixth form boarding house, and it's remarkable how quick we can get to know our new lower 6 year 12 students, and just help them settle, and how quickly they can settle and make use of a whole range of opportunities, which I think is a real strength of our school. I don't know, Rebecca, if there's anything you wanted to add.
I think the other thing that is really helpful in schools like Dean Close is the fact that because we know that the university says, I'm sure the other speakers do so well, we know what they're looking for. So when my own son, who interestingly from the last question has struggled with dyslexia, he came through the school, got up into sixth form, got really good grades in his A-levels, got all A's, and then went on to Bath University where he got a first. But part of his journey was knowing what they were looking for at Bath. They weren't looking for someone who'd done some voluntary service or anything like that. What they wanted was someone who'd looked at what that university, studies the university had done in the biochemistry department. So he was able to focus on that, and that was the information that he got through school. So I think that's very helpful as well. I hope that's answered your question.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for that closing remark. Okay, so parents, Dean Close is here. If you'd love to interact with Dean Close or you'd love to meet with them, Brains and Butter is here to facilitate that. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, so now we're going to move on. Our time is a lot. Honestly, time is really not our friend because it's always running when we really need it. Okay, so we're moving on now. You know, at the beginning of the fair, I promised you that you're going to meet with the top management of Brains and Butter. We've met Dr. Alo, who is the lead consultant from Brains and Butter. We also have the client's lead here, who is going to tell us a little more about Brains and Butter and what they have to offer. So let's have Mrs. Adetola Aneyo to do justice to that.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Da Silva. It's been 8 days of this fair, and if you ask me, it's been a very amazing time, and I trust that our parents have actually learned a lot. Quickly, I will just rush it because I promised myself I won't spend more than the time that I've been given. I would like to quickly share my screen. It's been a pleasure to be here, honestly. And if you ask me, I know a lot of people might be asking, I mean, this event, how has it come to be? I mean, it has been proudly brought to you by Brains and Butter. And we have our delectable Dr. Alo on the call, and we have some members of the team at the back end doing all the work that they need to do. It's a pleasure to be here today, like I said. And you will ask yourself, what do we do at Brains and Butter? There's just a lot that we do, and it's good to have Joyce on the call as we've been partners, you know, with tutorials, getting our parents to understand that there's a need for us to start early. And so aside from the British boarding school placement that you know us to be, I mean, and we are experts at that, we also do tutorials, get your child prepared for that journey. Just a minute, sorry. For that journey, you know, just to get them ready, you know, they have to get prepared for the things they need to do, the things, the assessment they need to do, the interviews, all of these things are part of what we do at Brains and Butter. And if you ask me, why do you want to choose us at Brains and Butter? So we do not just top hat placements, we do everything. So it's 360-degree of a child being placed at the school just to help them you know, nurture them while they thrive in that school they are being placed in. So we don't just match children for schools, we carefully curate their educational journey, ensuring that everything in terms of recommendation aligns with their individual goals, strengths, and aspirations. And like I said, this is a list of things that we do. We do tutorials, we do interview prep, we do guardianship, yes. We do scholarship and bursary assessment consultation. So we help you in getting, you know, the right amount of bursary, the right amount of scholarship for your child. These and many more are part of the things that we do. And why should you choose us? We have a track record of success. And we do, you know, what we do, we do what we call a tailored approach. So we don't just force a school down your throat, and we are your trusted partners. We have a lot of testimonials for that. And I think at some point I can actually just show you that the journey of finding the right school shouldn't feel overwhelming at all. It should be exciting, strategic, and well-guided. So our role at Brains and Butter is simply to simplify. Just let me put it out again, simply to simplify the process, giving you confidence, and, you know, for the whole process at all the way through. So if you would like to reach out to us, you can always call the numbers on your screen right now. You can visit our website. You can go to all our social media handles. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we are on LinkedIn. On a final note, we look forward to your messages. And thank you once again to all the schools, and thank you to our parents for staying true. We also want to say a big thank you to all our partners, Uxbridge, Joyce, thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you. Over to you, Mrs. Da Silva.
There is no better way to end the fair than this note. It's been an amazing 8 days at the Brains and Butter British Boarding School Fair. A special thank you to everyone, especially our parents who were here since the first day. If you joined in the middle of the fair, we appreciate you as well. If today was your first time at the fair, we say thank you. Thank you so much. This fair wouldn't have been possible without you. But I won't end the fair without inviting Dr. Alo. So if Dr. Alo would just come in for just a few minutes. Okay, while we're waiting for Dr. Alo, let's quickly take the last poll for today, quickly. So parents, get ready to engage. Okay, there we have it. If your child could choose a boarding school location, where would they pick? Is it London, countryside, near the coast? Doesn't matter as long as it's the best school. What would be your answer? Let's keep the answers coming. If your child could choose a boarding school, if your child could choose a boarding school location, where would they pick? London, countryside, near the coast? Doesn't matter as long as it's the best school. What would your answer be? Okay, so let's have the result of the poll. Oh, amazing. So we have 20% choosing London. And at the top of the list, we have doesn't matter. Wow, that's amazing. Doesn't matter as long as it's the best school. That's so good to know. Okay, we also have a few people choosing near the coast, 20%. Good, great. So if Dr. Alo is ready for me, then I'm ready. But if not, it's okay. Oh, we have another poll. Okay. What's the most important skill you'd love your child to develop in school? What's the most important skill you'd love your child to develop in school? The first one, public speaking. That's pretty important, yeah. Coding and tech skills. That's also important. Okay. Leadership and teamwork. Absolutely important. Cooking and independent living. Then a second or third language. What would it be for you? Is it public speaking, coding and tech skills, leadership and teamwork, cooking and independent living, or a second or third language? Parents, let's keep engaging. Keep your answers coming. Okay, let's have the results of this poll. And the result is out. And we have a lot of people picking leadership and teamwork. Then we have 17% picking public speaking. Wow, amazing. Okay. We have more. Okay. How prepared do you feel about the UK boarding school application process? How prepared do you feel about the UK boarding school application process? Very prepared. Like you're all in, you're prepared. Or somewhat prepared. Need more guidance. Oh, I'm totally lost. Which one is your answer? Which one is it for you? Are you very prepared, somewhat prepared, need more guidance, or you're totally lost? What would it be for you? Okay. Let's have the result of this poll. Oh, 22% are very prepared. 44% are somewhat prepared. And it's good to know that not many people are totally lost. Just 11% are totally lost. And then 22% need more guidance. And that is why Brains and Butter is here. You're definitely sure to get that guidance you need with Brains and Butter. Okay. Do we have more polls? Okay, that will be it. Polls. Now, Dr. Olive from her.
Thank you so much. Honestly, like my laptop is telling me that this is 2025 and I need to get a new laptop. There's just too much on this laptop. So my sincere apologies that I wasn't able to respond previously when you called me. I want to say a big thank you to our parents. It's over 2 hours and we still have a number of parents on the call. Thank you so much. And please, for those who are on the call, we really would like you to fill the forms that you're going to see in the chat room. We want to engage with you. We have some parents who have been on a part of the fair for about 6-7 days. The fair has been running for 8 days and we've had some very engaged parents. So please fill the forms that we're going to share in the chat box. We really want to hear from you. We want to engage with you. Thank you so much to all our schools, to our amazing partners. It's great to have Joyce on the call. I truly feel that even if you're not thinking about an Oxbridge university, or you're not thinking of a highly selective school, the skills that are taught through the Insight Academy and Insight Education Program are life skills that would really make you stand out in the room. And you really want your child to stand out. The earlier you instill those skills in your child, the better for your child. And, you know, I keep saying to my own children that Asians, Africans, there are reasons why there are few gaps, and we need to close that gap. And so the earlier we start doing certain things, imbibing certain habits, the better for us. So parents, please get in touch with us and we'll get you onto the amazing wealth of programs that Insight Education has on offer for your children. I'm going to end with a story that we had yesterday. So one of our families had their son get into Oundle and they were really excited about it, right? But they just thought, oh, we made it so easy for them. So it was like, oh, okay. Then they called a friend whose child was also trying for Oundle. And sadly, she didn't get in. And they said to us, that was the moment that they felt, oh, wow, okay, it wasn't like a walk in the park the way we felt it was just because Brains and Butter was a part of the process. So obviously it was a bittersweet moment for them because they had really hoped that both families would have their children in, but it just put into perspective the work that has gone on behind the scenes for the past literally nearly 18 months, over a year they've been with us. They actually wanted their son to go to Harrow, but they missed the deadline because they did not start the process on time, which underscores the point that Joyce was making. Start early. And there's a parent on here whose daughter, I think, is in year 2, and I really like the fact that she's engaging with the conversations. So start early and get trusted experts like us to be a part of this journey with you. It really does take a village. Da Silva, you have been doing such an amazing job. Thank you so much. To Adetola, Okpayemi, everyone behind the scenes, thank you so much. Our tech team, Mr. Ben Moon, thank you. I could not believe it has come to an end. We've enjoyed this so much. We'd literally be having, like, you know, what's the word that is it, withdrawal symptoms when it's next tomorrow, like, oh, the fair isn't happening, because it's been an amazing one. But guess what? The links are on YouTube, so please check your inbox. We'll be sending you the YouTube links so you can sit back, relax, and watch it all over again and take notes. I have been taking notes, right? There's so much to learn. So we'll be sending you the YouTube links. I would actually be making them bite-sized versions. So like Joyce's presentation, you'll have that exclusively. You know, a school's presentation, you'll have that exclusively. So if you see brains and butter in your inbox, please open the mail. It's full of goodies for you and a lot of knowledge. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been such an amazing 8 days, a beautiful way to wrap up this month of January 2025. Thank you, Da Silva. Over to you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's such a beautiful way to close the fair. And honestly, I'm looking forward to another one, maybe soon. So this is where we draw the curtain. I wish we could go on. I wish the fair could go on, but honestly, it has to come to an end. So it's been an amazing 8 days. I'm sure we have learned so much. I have learned a lot, and I'm sure we have as well. And the conversation continues. So please reach out to Brains and Butter to take the conversation even further and to get our jewels into these schools we've always wanted them to get into. So till we come your way again, see you. I am Bimpe Da Silva. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. And for what it's worth, we're going to have like a tete-a-tete tomorrow evening. So again, check your emails and you'll get the information. Thank you, everyone. We'll be closing the room in 3, 2.